What is up, Giants fans? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Tommy's Takes. I'm your host, Tommy G. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. And for that, thank you. Please like, subscribe, turn notifications on. You can check me out on Twitter at TommyG105. Check out everything we're doing over at Giants Country. We have some awesome content coming up this season. For those that already supported, subscribed, liked, I appreciate it. Like I always say on every show, your support goes a long way in helping create this content. So thank you. Without further ado, we'll get right into it. Tough loss for the Giants against Dallas. Giants dropped to 2-1. Dallas is at 2-1. It was a rough game from the start. This trend that's kind of developing with the Giants where they start slow in the first half is not going to be a fruitful trend for them. Happened against Tennessee. We're able to rebound. Missed field goal at the end there by Bullock was a savior. Happened against Carolina. But the Giants, again, were able to pull that game out. Last night, they were not able to pull it out. Got off to a slow start, blocked field goal right off the bat, which is never good. Never want to see that. It looked like it was a blown blocking scheme, and they were right towards Gano, and that was not a good start. Cowboys get on the board with a field goal. Giants come back with a field goal of theirs. We end the half at 6-3 Dallas. Unfortunately, the first half was highlighted by some missed opportunities, some penalties. You had the blocked field goal. You had Austin Calitro deciding on his own to shoot in the wrong gap and open up a huge hole for Tony Pollard to scamper through. That was a huge run. You also had a great catch by Kenny Golladay, called back on an offensive pass interference by Sterling Shepard. I don't think it was an offensive pass interference personally. I think it was a bad call, but nevertheless, it was a call. You also had a 25-yard run by Ezekiel Elliott on 3rd and 12. So the first half really reflected some issues in this team. One, it showed a ton of issues with pass blocking. Two, it showed issues on the run defense without Leonard Williams in there. Leonard Williams is a key cog in that run defense, and Dallas basically had their way. I'll get into the stats a little bit later, but they were pretty much able to do whatever they wanted, passing, running. It didn't really matter. So that really made the first half tough for the Giants. Regardless, after all that, after the pass blocking breakdowns, after the mistakes, the penalties, the blocked kick, Giants come back in the second half, take a 13-6 lead. Awesome drive led by Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Barkley obviously caps it off with the 36-yard touchdown run, makes an awesome juke right through the middle of the hole. Boom, and he's out of there. So looking at it there, Giants are up 13-6. Everything is looking good, feeling good. The bad vibes from the first half are gone. And what happens? Dallas comes back with two long scoring touchdown drives. Really, really killed the Giants there. Defense struggled on those two defensive drives, offensive drives of Dallas. No pressure at all. Kayvon Thibodeau, his first game as a pro, and leave him alone. I've already seen some things written about him out there and said about him. He's a rookie playing in his first NFL game, period. Don't say anything about him yet. Let him play a few games. Let him get his legs under him, get fresh. Shoot, same thing goes for Aziz. This is his first game of the year. Takes a lot, and you're going in your first game, and you're playing the Dallas Cowboys on primetime. So I'm not worried about them. It was kind of worrisome. We couldn't scheme any pressure up. Would have liked to scheme something together. 0 sacks against Cooper Rush, not good. That definitely hurt his defense not getting to him. He was able to do basically whatever he wanted at will back there. So the pass rush was non-existent. When you really look at it, it started going downhill after that first touchdown drive for Dallas. Giants did come back. They had a couple of good offensive drives in the second half. One of them was a nice pass to Kenny Golladay that he decided to promptly drop and end what could have been a nice drive. When it comes to making mistakes like that, when you're a rebuilding team that's put together of mostly rookies and players that would be depth pieces on other NFL teams, good NFL teams, you cannot make the type of mistakes the Giants made in that Dallas game. And that Kenny Golladay drop was one of them. That was a tough drop. Maybe he doesn't get the first down on that play. It looked like he was trying to run before he caught the ball. I get that. But mistakes you cannot make. Simple. Very, very, very simple. Even towards the end of the game, the Giants still have an opportunity. They're down by 1 score. They get the ball back under 2 minutes. They didn't have any timeouts, but under 2 minutes. Jones drops back, tries to hit David Stills on an anticipation route, whether it was a slant or a small post. David Stills falls. So in the most important part of the game, he slips, and that's it. Diggs intercepts the pass. The interception is on Jones. and the game is over, just like that. So missed opportunities for the Giants, some sloppy play, some penalties that were unnecessary. You had Sterling Shepard leaving the bench to get into a fight with the Cowboys. That was a penalty that negated a Dallas penalty, unnecessary. You had the offensive pass interference on Shepard that negated a nice catch by Golladay. Really, when you look at this game, the Giants had tons of opportunities, especially when they're up 13-6. Well, there was a 3rd and 5 the Giants had. I believe it was a tie game. It was in the 3rd quarter. It was before Dallas got their first touchdown drive of the second half. And 3rd and 5, Shepard runs a drag over the middle. He's fairly open. Jones goes to throw it. My opinion, a little too much velocity on the pass, goes right through Shepard's hands. Could he have caught it? Sure. Do most receivers catch that one? Sure. Same thing on the 4th down to Golladay earlier in the game. The ball's thrown behind him. Could he have caught it? Should he have caught it? Coulda, shoulda, woulda. But these are the plays that cause you to lose games. These are the plays that the Giants didn't have versus Tennessee and versus Carolina. The penalties, the drops, the mistakes. I thought Daniel Jones played a good game. I thought he was tough as nails. Yeah, he really went out there, took a beating. He answered the bell every round, got up after every hit, didn't fumble the ball, didn't even come close to fumbling it, didn't have a turnover until the very last drive of the game. And even then, that was Sill's fault, falling down on the route, on an anticipation route. So that's kind of how the game ended for the Giants. It's tough after winning the first 2. You get a ton of good vibes out there. But listen, got to have perspective here, right? This is a rebuilding team. This is a team with no salary cap. This is a team with rookies starting at important positions all over the field. This is a team with probably 3rd and 4th string players starting, 3rd, 4th string on other teams starting. So when you play a team like Dallas, and don't forget, Dallas was missing Dak Prescott, Michael Gallup, Schultz, the tight end. They came in injured too. So this is no moral victory playing tough with them. Yes, it's good that the Giants hung close to the end, but it's not a moral victory because they had 3 of their best offensive weapons out, and the Giants struggled to stop them. So, but this is a rebuilding team. This is what you're going to see. You're going to see issues like this. Going to pop up again at the end of the year, in the middle of the year, because this team's not ready yet to compete on that level with some of the better teams. But they are scrappy. They do have a lot of fight in them. And they showed that in the first 3 games. I do think they beat the Bears next week, and they'll be 3-1 going to play Green Bay. Who knows what happens there? But overall, a little bit sloppy game, not as clean, not as disciplined. And you come out with a loss because you couldn't stop the Cowboys. You couldn't touch Cooper Rush. You had a hard time. You struggled against the run, which was surprising. The Giants haven't struggled against the run in the first 2 games. But here you come, you give up 176 yards rushing to Pollard and Zeke. Pollard had 13 carries for 105 yards at an 8.6 clip yards per carry. Zeke had 15 carries, 73 yards, 4.9 yards per carry. They attacked the edges first with the running game, and then towards the 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, they attacked the middle where Leonard Williams would typically be. He was obviously missed by the Giants mightily. But that was that. That was the game. There were a couple of things I want to get into regarding this game. The first thing I wanted to get into is the offensive line, and it was brutal. It was bad. It was maybe as bad as it's been the last couple of years. And anyone that's followed the Giants, been a fan of the Giants, offensive line has been their Achilles heel for many years now. And it was bad today. Jones coming into the game leads the NFL in pressure rate at 36.6%. He was pressured 24 times in this game. That's the most in the NFL this season. So it was an onslaught. It was a jailbreak. And I don't know how Jones got out of the game healthy. I don't know how he didn't get hurt. Some of those hits were ridiculous. And the pressure was across the board. Shout out to Andrew Thomas. He held it down again. He's proven he's the franchise left tackle for the Giants. Other than that, Evan Neal was atrocious. But same thing as Kayvon Thibodeau. Take a deep breath. Relax. It's a rookie. It's going to take time. It's going against DeMarcus Lawrence, who is one of the better edge rushers in the NFL. And he did give up 3 sacks. It was really bad. It wasn't regular bad. It was really bad. But take a deep breath. But where you see the real issues is the interior of the offensive line, with Glowinski at right guard, with Feliciano at center, whether it was Bredesen in there versus Dallas, Azudu, whoever it is, that interior offensive line is getting destroyed. And it's really, really hurting this offense's progressions and production. There's no way a quarterback can just sit in there and sit back and keep his eyes down the field and, take that type of beating. And Jones did. Credit to him. He improved on that from the first 2 games. I'm sure he heard some of those criticisms of him taking his eyes off the deep downfield when he sees pressure. But still, he was on the run the whole game. I thought he did an awesome job breaking the pocket. He had 9 carries for 79 yards, multiple first downs. Probably could have easily had 100 yards rushing. There were a few plays he had where he could have ran, but he wanted to throw it. I thought you seen progress from DJ. Was it good enough? No, it wasn't good enough. The Giants lost. He didn't have a touchdown pass. Didn't hit 200 yards passing again. But he showed that toughness and that grit. And you know what? You wish everybody on the offense showed that, especially the wide receiver group. But the offensive line was really bad. Run blocking was mediocre. A lot of 1-2 yard gains, couple of losses. The run blocking has been pretty good the first 2 games, not as much versus Dallas, even though they did have the 36-yard touchdown run by Barkley. That was mostly off of his magic, off his legs, getting in the hole and cutting out. So offensive line needs to improve. I don't know what the answer is. You're going into week 4. You're not signing anyone, trading for anyone. Giants fans seeing how that worked out last season with Gettleman when he traded for Billy Price, and that didn't work out. So Bobby Johnson, the offensive line coach, has to get this thing figured out because this offense is not going to score any points with an onslaught of pressure like that, plain and simple. As far as DJ, like I said, 9 rushes, 79 yards, 20 of 37 passing, 196, did have the 1 interception. I thought he played well. Led the team on 4 scoring drives, should have been 5 with the blocked field goal, showed good pocket presence, first downs with his legs when the team needed it, kept drives going. I thought he played well. I really did. The production wasn't there, but when, I think what happens with Jones is people automatically want to think down the line and contract, and they shouldn't bring him back and he shouldn't be here. Just take it game by game. He showed good progress this game. Was it a game where you're like, yeah, we're going to throw 40 million at him? No, it was not. But don't be scared to give the guy his credit. He played tough, man. Not a lot of us can go out there and take a beating like that and keep on ticking. So shout out to Jones for that. Next up is the wide receiver group for the New York Football Giants, the most expensive wide receiver group in the whole NFL. This is probably one of the worst wide receiver group games I've ever seen. Let's start with Sterling Shepard, and shout out to Sterling Shepard. Tore his ACL last night, horrible injury. You hate to see it. Prayers out to him for a speedy recovery. He's probably done with the Giants now. Seems like he suffered a devastating injury every year of his career, but just prayers up to him. But it's bad because it comes on probably one of his worst games as a pro, honestly. He had 2 big drops. He had 2 huge penalties. Him himself really cost his team, probably you could argue 6 or 7 points with his penalties and his drops. But you know what? That's not typical with him. He's been the longest tenured Giant. He's a smart player, doesn't usually cost the team. Just really unfortunate that his last game probably as a Giant was one of his worst ones. Let's go to Kenny Golladay. So Mr. Kenny Golladay, Mr. $72 million man, Mr. I want the ball. I should start regardless. I don't agree with the head coach. Gets his opportunity. Less than halfway through the first quarter, he already has 10 snaps. 4th and 1, DJ throws him a quick slant. Again, not a great throw. It was behind him. He had to reach back to catch it. But you're a $72 million receiver. You're a number 1 receiver. Come down with the rock. If it's a bad throw by Jones, which it probably was, be better than him. Come down with that rock. Show that you're an elite player. You want to play, right? You disagree with the coach's decision, you should play regardless. Regardless of what, though? Regardless of dropping passes, regardless of not giving 100% effort, because then in the 4th quarter, you had another opportunity on a huge play to get a first down. Jones makes a great play to get it to him, hits him probably about a yard or 2 short of the first down marker. Maybe he doesn't get it, maybe he does. Just drops the ball, and the Giants are forced to punt there. Don't even get a chance to go for it on 4th down. So he had 2 brutal drops, did not play well. He was hard on himself after the game, but again, another receiver in this receiver group that let Daniel Jones and the rest of the team down. You have David Sills, who also didn't do much versus Dallas. The final drive, game still close, down by 1 score, less than 2 minutes left. Anticipation throw from Jones to Sills, and he falls down. Pass is intercepted by Diggs, and the game is over. So this was probably, and also I forgot to mention KG was not even on the field those last two drives after that last drop he had. But that was the receiving core. It really hurt Daniel Jones. It was sad to see that the team let him down in that way. It was really unfortunate. I don't know what the Giants are going to do at receiver with Shepard out for the year now. Tony's health always in question. Rookie Wan'Dale Robinson still has the knee issue. Do you call up Bachman again? Do you say, hey, we cut you, but we want you back? Do you try to get a free agent, a veteran free agent receiver like a Will Fuller? They're not going to go after an Odell. He's going to get, a decent amount of money. Giants have nothing right now to offer in the money department, but something needs to be fixed on offense with this offensive line, this receiving core. It's funny when we're going into the season and everything's about Jones is going to hold the offense back. Jones can't do this. Jones can't do that. And he hasn't been great, but the bigger worries are the offensive line and this receiving core straight out. So I touch on the defense quickly. Cowboys, like I mentioned earlier, are missing three of their weapons, did whatever they want. Tibbs and Azeez were on a pitch count, didn't make much of an impact. Azeez did start the game well, forced a couple of holding penalties and was in the backfield. Then he just kind of disappeared after that. Second half was rough. Cowboys had the two long touchdown drives. Wink really wasn't able to do much as far as game planning, just wasn't their night. They got ran all over. Listen, it's going to be tough for Wink. You have a linebacking core that, try to be nice, doesn't have a lot of talent. You have a secondary that with Robinson out is a bunch of question marks. Darnay Holmes has not played well. You have two young edge rushers that should become great players, but a lot of question marks. And Wink's going to be put to the test. It was put to the test versus Dallas and did not do well. It's not like they scored 40, but when they needed to score and they wanted to score, they put the game out of reach. So a little bit of perspective. Giants still 2-1. Still a great start. If I would have came and whispered in your ear as a Giants fan in June or July and said, hey, we're going to be 2-1 going into the Bears game at home, you'd have been like, holy cow, I'll take that. I'll sign up for that any day of the week. So little perspective there, still rebuilding. Look for the Giants to make a couple moves this week for the roster. They cut Antonio Williams, so it looks like that's kind of like a precursor move. Probably going to do something at wide receiver. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bachman back on the team. He had a really, really good preseason for the Giants. And what's next? Chicago's next. Giants 2-1. Chicago at home. This will be the third straight home game for the New York Giants. And, I hate to say it because it's just a rebuild year, but I feel like this would be a step back to lose this game for the Giants. One, the Bears are not that good of a team. Two, you have the Packers the following week, which is going to be extremely tough. You don't want to, in the middle of this good aura and good vibes at 2-0, rip off a 3-game or 4-game losing streak. So I think very key game here, especially for the coaching staff, to get this team ready after a letdown loss versus Dallas, to get them pumped, to win a game that I won't say they should, but it's a toss-up. And you want to win those toss-up games when you're in a position like this, when you're probably not going to beat the better teams or even the slightly better teams. You want to win those toss-up games. So I look for the Giants to bounce back next week. No predictions yet. We'll save that for the Bears preview, but big game coming up regardless. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, like, turn notifications on. Follow me on Twitter at TommyG105 and check out all the great stuff we're doing at Giants Country. There's tons of Giants content coming out from the team. And as always, thank you for your support. Peace.